Really, Frank, you know, we've been doing this for a while, and I really enjoy doing this conversation. We took it the next step, you know, that's the kind of situation. Now, I had the conversation yesterday, but today's story is a direct result of the two coming together. But this time, the meeting wasn't in a barbershop, and it wasn't between law enforcement and the community. It was a group of criminal justice students from LaSalle High School and myself, after their teacher invited me to talk about the progress and how they can help. Usually, I don't express my opinion, but this story is a little different. Thanks, guys. I like your kicks, man. More than 50 students from two different classes at LaSalle High School have been learning about criminal justice. Their teacher invited me to speak to the students about what I've been learning in the barbershop discussions.
I've been in situations where I did not like the police.
Between law enforcement and communities of color.
When I saw that KTVU and you in particular were doing conversations around policing and the community, it tied in very much to the conversations we're having about race.
Many in the class either have family members or want to be law enforcement officers. The class has been covering issues from officers-involved shootings to implicit bias, the same topics that we've discussed during our barbershop town halls. It's an open dialogue. There's nothing that's off limits. You can say, you can ask any question.
You've lived in different communities in the United States, culture-wise. How have you seen or experienced racism?
As an African-American man, yes, I felt the racism every which way I go, in every city. It doesn't matter where I go. First time I ever get a gun pulled on me is here in the Bay Area. The only time I ever had a gun pulled on me was in the Bay Area. And the only person that ever pulled a gun on me was a law enforcement officer.
So you're saying how if you're walking down the street in what you're wearing, you'd be accepted, and if you walk down the street in like a hoodie looking kind of shady, that...
Wait, stop right there. No, I'm not, no. I just want you to think about what you said. Yeah. Why? Because I wear a hoodie, am I shady? Dude said next he's got a hoodie, is he shady? And I'm not attacking you. Please understand what I'm saying. The majority of students are Caucasian and say they're inspired from what they're hearing. But since they're not in attendance at either the Oakland or San Leandro discussions, they have a lot of questions of their own.
Why did the Alameda County Sheriff's Department initially not want like white Caucasian people at the the town hall meeting?
I don't want to put it on the entire department that didn't want the Caucasian officers there, because there were some that did and there were some that didn't.
When you're like reporting on like something that has to do with African Americans, do you ever feel like people like think you have a certain bias toward it?
Oh, of course. And it comes from both sides. I get African American people tell me, well, you didn't ask this and you didn't say that, so now I'm not black enough. Well, looking at my skin, I think I'm pretty black. But then you have people on the other side that says, you know, well, you're being tougher on that. I can't really worry about everyone else. I can only give you the facts. This is what happens.
But is it hard to keep your opinion out of your reporting when an issue like affects you personally, like the issue between African Americans and the police?
I can talk about my own personal experiences, but also tell the story of what's going on. But it's always good to be honest and upfront to say, hey, this is coming from me. The teacher and students say they appreciate the conversation we had, and they will use future town halls in their classroom in hopes of bridging the divide they have in their school and community.
I think it does help, and it's going to take time for more and more people to get involved, and the more people that get involved, the bigger impact it's going to have.
But I think what's really important too is to have them be critical thinkers if they get involved in law enforcement, to see and understand the communities that they're serving, the issues that they're facing, and the reality that's not theirs.
Easy questions, but everyone. Well, with me. Now, the teacher and one of the students asked if they could attend our next barbershop discussion in April. I told them it would be my pleasure to have them as a guest, because I'm a firm believer when we can all work together for a better future, we all can do it, but it has to be together.
Yeah, such a good discussion, such an important discussion. They asked a lot of really good questions. I'm curious, did they come up to you afterwards? Because sometimes we have time to talk to the kids, the students afterwards. Did they say anything that surprised you after you were all done? They were just very thankful and very open. That was the whole thing I told them. You know, it's an open, frank, no pun intended, all puns intended, conversation that we can have. You know, it's a conversation that must happen. And of course, with that school being predominantly Caucasian school, they don't have that many people of color to talk to. So I said, hey, this is your opportunity. This is your chance to do those questions, ask those questions you want to ask. I have no problem with it. I'm not offending you. You're not offending me.
I thought it was very interesting, the one young man who said, okay, so you're walking down the street dressed in regular clothes, so to speak, and you're looked at one way, but if you have a hoodie on and you're shady, and you caught him, you stopped him on that, because that's a subtle bias that's in his mind that he doesn't even realize he has. There's nothing wrong with having a hoodie on. I wear a hoodie every day.
Yeah, you do. And so do I. You know, it's an implicit bias that a lot of people have. They actually take a test in their class about implicit biases, and they find out, you know, how they lie on certain lines in certain different conversations. And that's the funny thing I said to them. I wear a hoodie every single day. When I'm not in these clothes, I take this off. Yeah. I'm wearing a hoodie. I go to the gym, I'm wearing a hoodie. But the connotation is a negative one put with the hoodie. Yeah. And the interesting thing I really will say really quick, I talked to another kid who says he works security at at a hardware store, and he says when kids come in with hoodies, he gets suspicious, just kids in general. So I asked him, if you see an African-American kid and a Caucasian kid come in together, but they're not together, they separate, who are you going to follow? He said the African-American kid. So,
do you think that the young man who asked that question, and I'm not trying to put him down in any way, do you think he got what you were trying to explain to him about the hoodie and using the word shady?
I think he did. He immediately corrected himself. He caught himself and he apologized for it. I said, don't apologize. Just learn from what you're doing. Learn from that conversation. And that's what it's all about. You know, we all say things. I say things, you say things, we all say things.
I've said things. Yeah.
But we've got to go behind and figure out why do we feel that way and see how we can change and come together.
All right, well, these discussions are continuing. You mentioned you're doing another one in April. Where are you doing it?
It's going to be in San Leandro. It's going to be a different barbershop than we went to last time in San Leandro. It's April 17th, and we're inviting a few more people from the community because this is working. This is working, and it makes me so happy, as you can tell. I'm really excited about this. It is working, and I love it.
It's so outstanding, and you can't correct a bias unless you realize there's a bias there.
Well, you have to talk about it first, too.
Yeah,
just get the dialogue
and you have
going.
to listen. Talk and listen.
Talk and listen.
Really good job, yeah.
Yeah, just
so
a great job.
Thank you, Paul.